Hi everyone, welcome to the session. So in this session, I'm going to discuss about Unacademy Combat. Also, I'll be discussing a few questions that have already come in Unacademy Combat earlier. All right, let's start. Okay, so my name is Ishwarya. I have done my masters in maths from University of Delhi. Prior to that, I did my graduation from Miranda House. I've been training students for various entrances like CAT, GRE, and GMAT earlier. Okay, so at Unacademy, we provide you two kinds of subscriptions, the Plus subscription and the Iconic subscription. If you go for the Plus subscription, you will have access to the classes from top educators of India. All the classes are live and interactive. You can get your doubts clarified within the session itself. PDFs of each and every lecture will be downloadable to you. Okay, also you will have access to the live mock test and quizzes that happen on the platform on regular basis. All right, now, in the Iconic subscription, you get all the benefits of Plus. Along with that, you get access to the classes from personal educator. It means that if you feel that you are weak in certain areas, or if you want the classes one-on-one classes for all the areas, then Iconic subscription will be the right choice for you. All right. Now, preparation for other management exams is also inclusive. Test analysis of each and every mock test is given to you. A detailed score report is given to you after the mock test you appear for. Alright, so the price of Plus subscription for 24 months is 32,800 and for 12 months this is 22,550. Likewise, the price of Iconic subscription for 24 months is 67,000 and for 12 months this is 39,500. You can get 10% off the course fee if you use the code AAISH10. All right, let's see. So this is Unacademy Combat, India's biggest weekly scholarship test. This is held every Sunday at 12 p.m. This is a 60-minute long test. You get 30 questions, 10 from quants, 10 from verbal, and 10 from LRDI. Alright, you can use the code AAISH10 to enroll for it, and if you get a good score in this, you will definitely get a good scholarship in terms of Unacademy Plus subscription. It is even possible that if you get a rank from 1 to 3, 1 year of CAT Plus subscription will be given to you free of cost. Okay, this will be your scholarship. Alright, let's see some of the questions that have already come in Unacademy Combat earlier. So here is question number 1. The sum of n terms of two arithmetic progressions is in the ratio 7n plus 1 to 4n plus 27. We have to find the ratio of their 11th terms. Okay, let's see. So what is the sum of n terms of an AP? Sum of n terms of an AP with first term A and common difference D is equal to Sn is equal to n by 2 into 2a plus n minus 1d. Alright, this is the formula for sum of n terms of an AP. Now here we have two arithmetic progressions. So they will start from different, they will have different first terms, they will have different common difference. So let us take Sn1 is 2a1 plus n minus 1 d1. Okay, sum of first progression. And let us take Sn2, the sum of another progression. This is n by 2, number of terms remain n only, into 2a2 plus n minus 1 d2. Alright, now this ratio is given as 7n plus 1 upon 4n plus 27. Alright, let's see. So this n by 2 and n by 2 gets cancelled. Now, so I have 2a1 plus n minus 1 into d1 upon 2a2 plus n minus 1 into d2, and this is equal to 7n plus 1 upon 4n plus 27. Okay, so if I put the value of n as 21, let's see what will we get. So this will be equal to 2a1 plus 20d1 and the denominator will be equal to 2a2 plus 20d2. Okay, so we can take 2 common from the numerator and 2 common from the denominator and it will be cancelled off. So I'll have a1 plus 20 d1 upon a2 plus 20, sorry, this is a1 plus 10 d1 plus a2 plus 10 d2 is equal to 7n. Now n we have taken as 21. So this is 7 into 21 plus 1 whole upon 4 into 21 plus 27. So if you look at this, this is actually the 11th term of the first progression, and this is the 11th term of the second arithmetic progression. Okay, so we can say that the ratio of the 11th terms is given by this. Let us simplify this. So this will be equal to 147 plus 1 upon this will be equal to 84 plus 27. If you simplify this, we get the ratio as 4:3. Therefore, option A is the correct answer. Alright, I hope this question is clear to everyone. Let's see the next question. Okay, so this is the question from numbers. Let's see. The highest power of 225 and 500 factorial is denoted by A. Let's see. So let's see how can you find the highest power of a number in some factorial. Alright, first of all, break up 225 into prime factors. How can we write it as? We can write this as 3 into 5 square. Okay, let's see. Can we write it like this? Okay, sorry, this will be 3 square into 5 square. Okay, so we can write it like this. Now, see, to make 225, I need 2 3's and 2 5's. Okay, but we are looking for the highest power of this number in 500 factorial. Alright, so let us see what is the power of 5 in 500 factorial. So for that, I write the number 500 and we'll divide it by 5 repeatedly. Let's see how. So 5 into 100 is 500, remainder is 0. But in this, when we calculate the highest power, we are just concerned about the questions. We do not take remainders into consideration. Okay, next, 5 into 20, then 5 into 4, and then can't be divided further, right? So the highest power of 5 will be equal to highest power of 5 in 500 factorial will be equal to 100 plus 20 plus 4, which is equal to 124. Okay, but we are looking for the power of 5 square, as 5 square is there in 225. So therefore, highest power of 5 square will be 124 by 2, that is 62. Okay, so we got 62 as the value of A. Alright, now let us find the highest power of 350 in 900 factorial. Alright, so let us break down 350. Let us factorize 350. How can we write this as? So this is 7 into 5 into 10. Okay, so I can write this as 2 into 5 square into 7. Alright, so again we can check for 5. Let us calculate the highest power of 5 in 900 factorial. So for that we take 900 and divide it repeatedly by 5. Let's see the questions that we get. So 5 into 180 is 900. Then 5 into 36. Again 5 into 7, 35, and then 5 into 1. Okay, so we are just concerned about the question. We do not take remainders into consideration. Alright, so let us add these numbers. What do I get? 180 plus 36 plus 7 plus 1. Okay, upon adding I get this as, alright, let's just add it. It will be equal to 224. Alright, so this is 224. So the highest power of 5 square. Alright, because we have 5 square in 350. So the highest power of 5 square will be equal to 224 by 2, which is 112. Okay, so therefore the value of B is 112. So we are looking for the value of A plus B. Therefore, A plus B is equal to 62 plus 112. Okay, so this is not matching any of the options that are given. Therefore, the answer is option D. None of these is the correct answer. Alright, I hope this question is clear to everyone. Let's see the third question. Okay, so ratio of incomes of Sarah, Karina and Saif last year was 2:3:4. Okay, So let us take their incomes as this. Let us take Sarah's income. These are the incomes. Okay, let us take Sarah's income is 2x. Then it means that Karina's income will be 3x. Saif's income will be equal to 4x. Alright, according to the ratios given. Then the next sentence is Sarah's last year's income and this year's income are in the ratio 2:3. Alright, so these are the incomes of last year. Okay, now let us calculate their incomes for this year. So for this year, Sarah's income is in the ratio 2:3. So if last year this is 2x, it means this year it should be 3x. Okay, Karina's last year income and this year's income are in the ratio 1:2, means it has doubled. Okay, so if this is 3x, this will be equal to 6x. Okay, now Saif's last year income and this year's income are in the ratio 4:7. So if this is 4x, therefore this will be equal to 7x. Alright, these are the incomes. Now, if the sum of their incomes of all three, sum of incomes of all three this year is this much. Okay, what is the sum? Let us calculate. So the sum is 3x plus 7x plus 16x, which is 16x. Okay, 3x plus 7x plus 6x is 16x, and this value is equal to this. Okay, hence x will be equal to 992 upon 16. Alright, so upon solving, you get the value of x as 62,000. Okay, so x is 62,000. Now, what is asked in the question? The question is asking by what amount Saif's income exceeds that of Sarah this year. Okay, so it is exceeds by, so Saif's income minus Sarah's income. Okay, this is 7x minus 3x, which is 4x. So it will be 4 into 62,000. Alright, let's solve this. This value is equal to 248,000. Alright, hence option C is the correct answer. Okay, hope this question is clear to everyone. Let's see the next one. Okay, which of the following cannot be the value of x plus 1 by x, where x is a positive real number? Okay, so x is a positive real number, it means that x is greater than 0. So for any positive real number which is greater than 0, the value of x plus 1 by x is always greater than and equal to 2. Okay, this is a rule. For any positive real number x greater than 0, x plus 1 by x is always greater than 2. This equality holds when x is equal to 1. Okay, equality holds when x is equal to 1. Okay, now we have to find which of the options can't be the value. It means this value is always greater than 2. If you look at option A, this is less than 2. Hence, the correct answer is option A. Alright, I hope this question is clear. Now let's see the fifth question. Okay, so if log x, log y and log z are all positive and each is greater than 1. So in the question it is given that log x is greater than 1, log y is greater than 1 and log z is also greater than 1. We need to find the minimum value of this expression. Okay, so for that let us try to simplify this expression what is given. Alright, so see, I can write the numerator as this. I can write the numerator as log, this is xy raised to the power of 4 into log yz raised to the power of 4 into log zx raised to the power of 4, and the denominator can be written as, see, this is log x cube. Okay, so we have a rule that log a raised to the power b is equal to b log a. So we are going to apply this rule here. So 3 can be taken out here and I get 3 log x. Also 3 we can take from log y cube. So this will be 3 into 3 into log y. Now also we have log z cube. So 1 3 will come out from here and I'll get log z. Okay, similarly we can apply this rule in the numerator also. I have 4, the powers of 4 here. same rule will be applied and I will get 4 cube outside. Okay, this way. Let's see. So if I remove these bars, then I can write 4 cube outside this way. Okay, so I can write this expression as 64, 4 cube is 64, 3 cube is 27 into log, now log a plus b, log x y can be written as log x plus log y. Alright, so we are going to use this here. So I can write this as log x plus log y into, similarly log yz can be written as log y plus log z, and this one log z plus log x. Alright, whole upon the denominator. Denominator is log x into log y into log z. Okay, log y into log z. Alright, this is the expression. Now we need to find the minimum value of this expression. Okay, so what I can do is that let us take a is equal to log x, let us take b is equal to log y, and c is equal to log z. Okay, so we can change this expression into this form. This will be equal to 64 by 27 into, this is a plus b, into this is b plus c, and this is c plus a, whole upon a, b, c. Alright, this is what we have. So now we are going to apply a rule here. Let's see. Okay, we know that there is a rule that arithmetic mean of two numbers is always greater than their geometric mean. Okay, let us apply this rule and see what do we get. Alright. So we know that arithmetic mean is always greater than and equal to geometric mean. Okay, so if I take two numbers a and b, then their arithmetic mean will be a plus b by 2, and this is greater than under root ab, their geometric mean. So I can even shift this to this side, so I can write that a plus b is greater than or equal to 2 root ab. Okay, so we have this. Likewise, b plus c is greater than equal to 2 root bc, and a plus c is greater than equal to 2 root ac. Alright, so we have this. Let us apply this rule in this question. Let's see what do we get. So a plus b, b plus c, c plus a. This is what I already have, and abc is in the denominator. Okay, so a plus b upon root ab is greater than 2, and b plus c upon root bc is greater than 2, and c plus a upon AC upon root AC is greater than 2. So therefore I can write that this expression is greater than 64 upon 27 into 8, that is 2 cube. Okay, we got 2 from each of these, so therefore 2 cube, which is 8. Hence the answer is 8 raised to the power 3 upon 3 raised to the power 3. Okay, alright, I hope this is clear. Therefore, the minimum value of this is 8 by 3 whole cube. Alright? Okay. So, I think option B is 8 by 3 whole cube. Therefore, option B is the correct answer. Option B is the correct answer. Alright. Hope this question is clear to everyone. Let's continue further. Question number 6. What is the approximate difference in between the interest earned on the sum of rupees 20,000 at 20% simple interest for 4 years? So the formula for simple interest is principal into rate into time upon 100. What is the value of principal given? It is given as 20,000. Rate is given as 20% and time is 4 years upon 100. Okay. So if you solve this, we get the value as 16,000. Okay, 16,000 is the simple interest. Okay. Then second part of this question. Interest earned on rupees 25,000. So the principal here is 25,000. Rate is 20%. Okay, rate of compound interest is 20%. Compounded half yearly for 10 years. Let us take n is 2 years. This is compounded half yearly. So what is the formula for amount? Amount is principal into 1 plus rate upon 100k into nk. Okay, what is n here? N is the number of years, k is the number of times compounding is done. Since compounding is done half yearly here, it means it is done after every 6 months in a year, so k is equal to 2. Okay, let us substitute all these values here. So we get amount is 25,000 into 1 plus 20 upon 100. Now this is 100 into 2, which is 200, upon 2 into 2, which is 4. All right, so we need to solve for this. So if you solve this, we get the value of amount as 36602.5. Okay, so amount is equal to principal plus interest. Therefore compound interest will be equal to amount minus principal, which is 36,602 minus 25,000. So we get this value as 11,602.5. All right, this is the value that we get. Now we need to find the difference between compound interest and simple interest. So simple interest minus compound interest, in this case this is 16,000 and this is 11,602. So this is approximately equal to 4379. Therefore option C is the correct answer. All right, I hope this question is clear to everyone. Let's see the next question, question number 7. Okay, so Amit participated in a 100-meter race during which he increased his speed by 20% every 100 meters that he covered. All right, okay, so we don't know the initial speed, so let us take it as x. Let the initial speed be x. All right, so after every 100 meters the speed increases. It means speed in the second 100-meter round, okay, it will be equal to, after 100 meters the speed will be equal to 1.2 into x increased by 20%. Then for the speed after 200 meters means for these 200 meters, okay, or we can say another 100 meters after this one, again it is increased by 1.2 into 1.2x, which is equal to 1.2 square x. All right, likewise for the third round the speed will be 1.2 cube x. All right, so this way his speed is increasing. Now if he finished the race in 5 minutes 12 seconds, okay, now see this is in meters. All right, so let us convert everything to meter per second. All right, so let us convert 5 minutes 12 seconds to seconds. So this will be equal to 312 seconds. All right, okay, so this is the total time taken. So therefore total time taken by him to finish the race is, for the first round that he takes, his speed is x. Okay, so time taken by him will be 100 by x, distance upon speed, so 100 by x. For the second round of 100 meters his time taken will be 100 upon 1.2x. Okay, for the third round this will be 100 upon 1.2 square x. For the next round it will be 100 upon 1.2 cube x. All right, so likewise the speed will keep on increasing. Okay, all right, now do we know the value of n here? Let's see. So it is given that he participated in a 1000-meter race. So 1000-meter race, it means it is there, and 100 meters he is covering in one part, in one round. It means that there will be total 10 rounds. So therefore the last term will be 100 upon 1.2 raised to the power of 9x. Alright, I hope this is clear. Alright, so this is I can take 100 by x common. Okay, so I get 1 plus 1 upon 1 by 2 plus 1 upon 1 by 2 whole square till the last term, which is 1 upon 1 by 2 raised to the power of 9. So this is a geometric progression with common ratio as 1 upon 1.2 and the first term a is equal to 1. Okay, so we can apply the formula of sum of n terms of a geometric progression. So here this is equal to 100 upon x into, this is 1 minus 1 upon 1.2 raised to the power of 10 upon, in the denominator this is 1 minus 1 upon 1.2. Now this total is given as 312. Okay, because he took 312 seconds to finish this race. Alright, so if you solve this, from here we get the value of x as 1.62 meters per second. But the question is, the options are there in kilometers per hour. So we need to change it. So we can change it by multiplying it by 18 by 5. Okay, so the speed is 5.85 kilometers per hour. Alright, so answer will be option A. Okay, I hope this question is clear to everyone. Let's see the next question. So this is question number 8. So there are two series of numbers in geometric progression, each having the same number of terms. Okay, so I have two GPs. First of all, let us take two GPs. GP1. First term is A1, common ratio is R1. So therefore, the next term will be A1R1. This is A1 R1. Then we have A1 R1 square, A1 R1 cube, and so on. These are the terms. Now let us take the second geometric progression, GP2. First term is A2, common ratio is R2. So we have A2 R2, then we have A2 R2 square, A2 R2 cube, and so on. Number of terms is same. Now, so the rest, some conditions are given such that the fourth term and sixth term of the first one, of the first series, are equal to the second term and third term of the second series. Okay, so fourth term of the first series, it means this is fourth term is A1 R1 cube is equal to the second term of second series. Second term means A2 R2. Alright, this is what I have. Let us take this as equation 1. Okay, this is equation 1. Then sixth term of first one. Sixth term means A1 R1 5 is same as the second term. Sorry, it's same as the third term of second series. Third term means this one, which is A2 R2 whole square. Let us take this as equation 2. Let us divide both the equations and see what do we get. Dividing 1 by 2, I get 1 upon R1 square is equal to 1 upon R2. Therefore, from here we have R2 is equal to R1 square. Okay, this is the relationship between common ratios of both the GPs. Let's see what is the relationship between the first terms. Okay, so for that we have this given that if the last term of the second series, so I'm writing it here, means this is, let us take that there are n terms. So the last term of the second series will be equal to A2 R2 raised to the power n minus 1. This is 64 into last term of the first series. That is A1 into R1 raised to the power n minus 1. Okay. Now, this is what I have. Now, let's see. Let us establish the relationship between A1 and A2. So, for that, we can use this, put it in the first equation. Let's see what do I have. Putting this value in the first equation, I can write that A1 R1 cube is equal to A2 into R2. R2 is R1 square. Okay, cancelling of both sides, what do we get? The value I get will be A2 is equal to A1 into R1. Okay, This is the relationship. Let us put it in this equation. Finally, this equation is given, so we are going to put it there. All right, so this I'll get as A2. Now A2 value is A1 into R1. So A1 into R1. What is R2? R2 is R1 square. So this is R1 raised to the power 2n minus 2 is equal to 64 into A1 into R1 raised to the power n minus 1. Okay, so A1 gets cancelled off. We get that R1. All right, let's see. So this is R1 raised to the power 2n minus 1. Okay, because plus 1 from here, minus 1 upon R1 n minus 1 is 64. Solving this further, we'll get R1 is equal to n. R1 raised to the power n is equal to 64. Okay, R1 raised to the power n is 64. All right, let us hold on to this equation. There is one more condition given, that the fifth term of the first series, that is A1 R1 4, is 8 times the second term of the first series, that is A1 R1. Okay, all right, so A1 gets cancelled out. Now, from here we have R1 cube is 8, therefore R1 is 2. So if R1 is 2, put it in this equation, you get the value of n is 6, because 2 raised to the power 6 is 64. So number of terms present in each of the series is equal to 6. Alright, I hope this question is clear to all. Let's see the next one. There are 4 children, Ankit, Balaram, Chintu and Deepak. They had a few gold coins with them. First, Ankit gave 1/3 of the coins he had with him to Balram. Okay, so let us take the children here. We have Ankit, we have Balram, we have Chintu, and we have Deepak. Let us take each of them have these A coins, B coins, C coins, and D coins with them. Okay, first, Ankit gave 1/3 of the coins he had with him to Balram. So now 1/3 he has already given. So amount that is left with him is 2A by 3, and Balram now has B plus A by 3. Okay, now then Balram gave 1/4 of the coins he had with him to Chintu. So 1/4 he gave to Chintu. So now how many he has? 3 by 4, and Chintu will have C plus 1 by 4 of the amount with Balaram, B plus A by 3. Okay, alright, so this is what I have. Let's see the second condition. Now, after which Chintu gave 1/5 of the coins he had to Deepak. Alright. Finally, all 4 had equal number of coins. It means Ankit and Balram have equal coins. Okay. It means that I can write 2A by 3 is equal to 3 by 4 into B plus A by 3. Okay. Then, if initially the number of coins with Ankit was 80 more than that with Balram, so from here I can write that A minus B is equal to 80, because Ankit had 80 more than Balram, so A minus B is 80. So let us put A as B plus 80 and put it in this equation. Okay, substituting the value of A as B plus 80 in this equation, we get the value of A as 180. The value of A is 180 and the value of B is 100. Okay, initial amount that they had. Okay, now let's see how the transaction has taken place. All right, so Ankit initially have 180, he gave 1/3. So 1/3 of amount with him means 60. So now he has 120. He gave 60 to Balaram. Balaram had 100 originally. So he has 160 now. Okay. Now Balram gave 1/4 to Chintu. 1/4 of 160 is 40. So now he has 160 minus 40, that is 120. So this amount he has given to Chintu. So Chintu now has C plus 40. Okay, he has C plus 40. Now this C plus 40, 1/5 of this amount he gave to Deepak. So Deepak now has D plus 1/5 of C plus 40. Okay, so finally all of them have the same amount. He will remain with 4 by 5 of C plus 40, which is equal to 120. If you solve this, you get the value of C as 110. Okay, the value of C comes out as 110. Okay, all right. Okay, now from this 110, put the value of 110 here and you will get the value of D as 90. Okay, so the difference between number of, this is coins, number of coins that Chintu and Deepak initially had was C and D. So 110 minus 90 is equal to 20. Therefore, option A is the correct answer. Alright, option A is the correct answer. Hope this question is clear. Alright. Okay, let us continue further. Let's see question number 10. In an alloy, zinc and iron are mixed in the ratio 1 is to 4. Okay, let's see. So in alloy A, the ratio of zinc to iron is 1 is to 4. Alright, 1 is to 4. Then in alloy B, the ratio of iron to copper is 2 is to 5. Then in alloy C, this is copper. The ratio of copper to aluminium, this is given as 4 is to 2. Now all these three alloys are mixed in the ratio of 1 is to 2 is to 3. They are mixed in this ratio. Find the percentage of zinc in the mixture. So zinc is present only in alloy A, and let us calculate the amount of zinc in alloy A. Amount of zinc in alloy A. What do we get? This is equal to 1/5 of the total, which is total part is 1. So this is 1 by 5. Okay. So percentage of zinc in the mixture. Alright, let us calculate. The percentage of zinc in the mixture will be equal to 1 by 5 into 1 upon 1 plus 2 plus 3. Okay, solve this further. I get this as 1 by 5 into 6. We get this as 1 upon 5 into 6, which is, now since we are finding the percentage, we need to multiply it by 100. Okay, therefore the answer will be 3.33%. Option A is the correct answer. Alright, I hope this question is clear to everyone. Okay, so this was the last question of this session. We have solved 10 questions that have already come in Unacademy Combat. Alright, so these questions are quite doable, right? So therefore, guys, please go ahead and register yourself for the Unacademy Combat. You can use the code AAISH10 for this. Okay. Now, these are the students from our iconic subscription. All of them have more than 99 percentile in CAT 2020. So if you guys go for the CAT iconic subscription, I'm sure you guys will also be in this list for CAT 2021. Now, new batch starting from 9th of June, and a new batch was started from 5th of June. So you still have time to enroll for the Plus subscription and start your classes with us. Okay, this is 24/7 support. So whenever you are stuck in any question, you can share the picture of that question with our on the Unacademy Learning app. Our educators will solve the question for you and then they'll share the detailed explanation. Okay. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching the session. I hope you enjoyed solving these questions with me. Thank you.